Welcome back to the Three Intersections. I'm Lindsay.
I'm Amira.
And I'm Asia. Okay, so today, if you've been following us, you know that we've been talking about relationships, and tonight is not going to be any different, but we're going to take a little detour with the way that we discuss it. We're all college students, and we all have our stories about college, whether good or bad. We're going to discuss roommate relationships because that's a big aspect of your college experience, especially if you're out of state or if you're, you just have to dorm on campus. Your roommate situation can really, if you have a bad roommate experience, can really mess up your experience, Mm-hmm. Like if you're a freshman, this is the first time you're living alone and you don't have the support system, and then your roommate is terrible, like, could it get any worse? Like, really? Yeah. So Lindsay's going to discuss a little bit about why the roommate experience is so important, like why having a good roommate is important. Like, what does it add for you,
Please, Dr. Lindsay, enlighten us.
Well, for me, after having experienced like living with roommates for the past 2 years, I feel like I've come to realize that roommate relationships are really important because they become like your family. They become your home. You're away from home, and so you have to establish like a place of comfort, a place of like love and respect all over again with sometimes complete strangers. And so I feel like it's really important to come in with an open mind, come in with a lot of patience too, because you're getting like a variety of different people coming from different backgrounds with different expectations. Some people really want to be close to their roommates. Other people just like are really content with just being cordial. So I feel like being patient and being like understanding with like the different perspectives and the different attitudes. But to me, overall, I would say roommate relationships are really important because they just become like your new like home, and they become your new family. And family doesn't have to mean that you guys are as deep and intimate as your like family at home, but it just means like they are like your new like safe space. At least for me, like I feel like I've created that relationship with my roommates where, after a long day, I look forward to coming home. I look forward to like just being in my apartment because I know that we have created a space, an environment where we feel welcomed with each other. We feel like we can be kind of like our most genuine and unfiltered selves. And so I just appreciate that space. And with like college course load already being as stressful and overwhelming as it can be, I feel like you don't really want to have those type of relationships that are kind of adding to that like stress and turmoil. So I think it's really, really important to establish that peace with them. However that may look like, there's different degrees to which that looks like, but I think it's really important to be intentional and patient in those relationships because they can really make or break your college experience, like Asia was saying. So
I think like more generally too, like you don't have to be as close with your roommates as Lindsay is explaining, but like I feel like a roommate sees you in your most vulnerable state. Like your roommate sees you like dressed down in your pajamas, like looking like crap, you know what I mean? So building some level of trust, you have to trust these people to like go in the fridge and like not eat your food or spit in your food, or like you gotta trust people that you're living with, So I mean, like it becomes a relationship that you have to add on to whether you like it or not. So just like tackling the relationship head on and making your rules, your boundaries in a sense, and sticking to them is really important. So do you have anything to add before we go into yay or nay?
No.
Okay. We've had our fair share of roommate stories, so Amira and I know.
I feel like you guys set it up very well. And your roommate is who you come back to at the end of the day. So you don't want to be coming back home to a place where you're holding resentment or anger.
Right. And at the end of the day, if you're having issues with a roommate, just you don't always have to deal with, disrespect. There are ways to handle that, whether you go to an RA or whether you, I don't know, like there's loopholes that you can go through to make sure that you feel okay in the space that you have to.
I want to use fists.
I mean, you could do that too, but
don't
you didn't hear it from us.
We don't condone.
We do not condone violence. But one more thing that I wanted to add, I think it's also really important to have boundaries, and like it's like the respect piece that you said. Like, have a lot of boundaries for yourself and make sure that you like maintain your respect. Like, don't allow your roommate to walk over you. Don't push things to the side or let things go if it's really bothering you because you're living with these people. And that resentment is going to build. Like, you can say it's okay or whatever, but it's gonna build and it's gonna show. It's gonna seep out. You're gonna start slamming doors and like leaving messes out in purpose.
Right, and on that piece, like, don't lower your values and expectations. For like how you said, because if you lower that and you're like, okay, that's fine, I'll clean this or I'll do this, that person's gonna get comfortable, and then once they get comfortable, you can't really say anything because you allowed them to get to that space.
Right.
So I guess you just have to be very mindful of the way you handle situations and be very like, I don't know, you just have to be mindful of every action you take when you're living with a roommate, especially if you don't have that like even if you have that friendly sort of relationship. There's still, your boundaries are still important, you know? Yeah. And I feel like that's true for any relationship. Like, your boundaries are important no matter how close you are to an individual.
And your boundaries can change. So, just because you didn't say it before doesn't mean you can't say it now. Like, it's completely different. And you can say, I don't want that, or I think you should figure yourself out and not do that to me.
And if someone gets mad at that, depending on the boundaries, because some boundaries are extreme.
I was going to say that never feel ashamed to set a boundary. I understand that like some I mean, I think it takes communication even in like the extreme cases. Like it's a lot of communication, because I feel like most of the times, even if it's an extreme case, all it is like a specific issue that has just been like blown up. So really when you communicate it, you'll get down to the root of what the boundary is. Communication is key in every relationship. That's going to be a theme that we're going to see.
And like I feel like, because I've been in a situation where like boundaries were communicated and respected, but then the boundaries that I had were not. So it's like you got to know how to handle those situations too, because it's like if I'm following your boundaries and I'm meeting your expectations, changing the way I live to help you and please you, and you can't do the same, then there's an issue. Just kidding. You know? All right, so we're going to get into our first yay or nay, okay? These are some stories that we're going to share with you, and we're going to discuss whether or not, or how we would tackle the situation. Okay. So this is how the story begins. I live in D.C. with a roommate, and I'm a student at a local college. My family is from Alexandria, Virginia. So if you don't know, geographically, Alexandria and D.C. are pretty close. Right next to Texas. So she lives in Alexandria, and so frequently she goes home to visit her family. And when she first started living with her roommate, she would alert her roommate when she was en route to go back to campus. Recently, as time has passed and comfortability has grown, she has stopped alerting her roommate when she would come back home. The last time she did so, and the last time she came home and didn't alert her roommate, she was confronted with hostility. And the roommate said that she was invading her privacy by not giving her adequate alert of her arrival. Okay, so what would you guys do in this situation?
I could understand both parts. I think that, it is, I guess, respectful to let someone know when you're coming, but I think after a certain point, like, I'm coming back to, like, my home, I guess, so it's like, I don't know, I think it's kind of like,
Right, it's just like, why do you need to track me coming into the home? Like, you're in your room, I'm in mine, so, like, how am I bothering you by coming into the place that I share rent on? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like the only thing that I could, like, maybe get is, like, awkward hours. Like, if you're coming in at, like, 3 a.m. and, like, they're asleep,
and then
they might be scared if they just hear someone walk in not knowing that you were coming that day. I think I would say maybe, like, oh, I'm coming back on so-and-so day. But as, like, down to, like, the hours and stuff, that's, like, I don't think that's, like, necessary. If you care, then that's on you. But I feel like...
But to meet someone with hostility about that is insane, if you ask me. Unless it's, like Lindsay said, like, unless it's, like, 2 a.m. and you're home alone and you're scared, that's different.
Yeah.
And that's a different conversation entirely. And that should be said. But to meet someone with hostility just because they didn't text you is crazy to me.
Yeah, the hostility part doesn't make sense to me. But I'm also just like, what is the roommate doing at that time? Or, like, why is the roommate so pressed about it? And then I guess they have to have that conversation, because what is bothering the roommate really? Because it's not just that the person is just coming home at random times. It's like maybe the roommate's doing something, and I don't know. It just, maybe they need to talk it out.
And that's why communication is important, because I feel like it allows you to get down to, like, the crux of what the issue actually is. Because maybe truthfully what it is they just wanted more alone time. And they weren't ready for you to come home. And then now it's like, well, that's on you.
But then that's not something that you...
Yeah, you can't really control. Like,
oh, well, go to your room. Or if you share a room, oh, well, like, you can't really just tell someone or be mad at someone because they came home too early for your liking. Like,
yeah, but if it's something else, like, when you come in, you're really loud and I don't want you to come in at 3 a.m., then it's like, okay, well, I'll try my best to get here before midnight.
Yeah. So on this sort of, like, note, what do you guys think about sharing locations with a roommate?
Personally, I would share my location with my roommate because I'm more lax about location sharing in general. I think that there's some people who, like, are very, very pressed about location sharing and, like, are really, like, polices about that and, like, they check it religiously. But for me, I feel like I can do it no problem. And if they check it often, I really don't care either. It's kind of weird, like, if you like to do that because it's like, you know, get a life, but but hey, to each their own. To each their own. So
I can see the want to share location for safety reasons because college campuses are some of the most dangerous places, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of things happen, especially as women, and especially if you're going out late at night, if you're going to parties, if you feel unsafe, you know, like, sometimes it is good to have your location shared with some close friends that you know care about your safety. But I don't know if I don't know about sharing my location with someone I just met, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I don't know, it gets iffy.
Yeah.
I'm not super anxious about anything, so location sharing doesn't really seem like a huge priority to me. There are ways for me to make sure somebody's okay outside of location sharing, and I guess for some people that's like the extra like added point of security for them. I just don't need that, and I'm fine. I've gotten by without it.
Yeah, I think that's like totally okay. Okay, on to our next scenario. So I'm actually gonna like create this scenario, but the general gist is that let's say you have a roommate and she invites her guests over and they are hanging out and let's say they're eating, right, and they like cooked dinner at y'all's place, and so they left like the pots and pans and they use all of your dishes, all of like the shared dishes and stuff like that. And as far as like, you know, eating, they were even eating some of the food that you said was like for all of the roommates to share, but they ate it all and like finished it in that night. So how would you feel about that? Like, you have no more clean dishes, and your roommate who had those guests over did not clean after her guests, or her guests did not clean after themselves, but that's like her responsibility. And you wake up and you just like see this big mess and your food is also partially gone. Like, how do you feel about that?
Respectfully, the roommate would have to clean up their and replace my food.
I would talk to them about it. Obviously, it's not really cute to like leave your dishes behind, especially dishes from your friends and your guests, people that I didn't even invite over. So at this point, I don't even want to touch their dishes. I don't know, I'm a really weird nitpicky person about that, if that's weird, but I don't want to touch their dishes after they've used them. I'm not anyone's maid, so wash the dishes, especially if they're our shared dishes and I need to go eat and do something with myself.
What would you guys say to like a roommate that, let's say in that situation, another roommate like saw that and cleaned it up? Like, would you say that like would you agree with that roommate cleaning it up, or would you say like...
See, this is hard because I feel like I've been in this situation and I have been the roommate to clean up after someone else, but I think I understand wanting a clean apartment and not wanting, you know, insects or rodents. Like, you don't know, like, some of these buildings, some of these dorms are really nasty, and like sometimes if stuff is left overnight and there's food still left in a bowl or something like that, that can attract insects. And so I can understand a really, really concerned person wanting to just clean it up to get it out of the way. But I feel like if you do that, you need to have a conversation with the person that left it and just say, hey, like, you left this here, or your guests left this here, and like, we have this rule where you're supposed to clean up after your guests, right? Because if they make a mess, it's technically your mess. So you need to have that conversation with the person, because if you don't, they're gonna get comfortable doing that and disrespecting you and disrespecting your place where you stay, and that is not fair to you or your other roommates that also have to endure that. So I feel like if I were the roommate looking on, I would be like, I would probably even help the person clean up, because I know that it wasn't that their mess. But then we would definitely need to have a conversation about boundaries and how basically by you leaving your guest's mess, you're disrespecting all of us.
Yeah.
And I think that there's no escaping that conversation you would have to have.
Yeah, I definitely think that the conversation would be necessary if you like clean up after them, because you don't want them to feel like this behavior is okay and to feel like you're enabling that behavior. So I think it is important to like communicate that, and also to not like make a habit of cleaning up after someone else, especially like roommates in college or just roommates in general, like after a certain age, because you guys are all grown. And so I feel like part of growing up is taking responsibility and cleaning up after your space, especially if it's a shared space, because not only is it like, you know, you're like it becomes like a thing of respect. Like even if you are not really like, let's say you're a messy person, you're gonna have to grow out of that, because now you're having to be mindful of the fact that this space that you're allowing to be a mess is not just your own space, you know?
So then what happens if you have that conversation with the person and it continues? Like, what do you do at that point? Do you just clean it because you're like, okay, this person's not getting it, but I can't live in this mess?
Yeah.
Or do you just leave it and let it pile up?
I mean, I think that there's another option. I mean, because, like, I would definitely clean it, because like you said, like, there's other factors like rodents and insects. And personally, like, I would not feel comfortable living in a messy space, even if it's not my mess. It's just, like, that's gross. But I would have to, like, take it to, like, another, like, step. Like, I don't know, tell the RA or something like that.
But I'm
what
not going to
live
hold
off campus now?
I'm adding if I live off campus, we're going to fight.
Before you even get to that,
we're going to fight.
I feel like there are a lot of situations where the RAs don't really do anything.
That's
I'm so
also
sorry,
true.
But, like, it's like
they have
the RAs just meet with you,
like, session.
And then they contact the other person so that the other person knows that you have an issue, if you haven't already communicated that. And then you just have a conversation like, how is that conversation any different from the conversations that you've had with the person before?
Right.
And then it's not something that is so big where you need to change your housing arrangement, but then it's like, now this person knows that you confronted an RA about them, now they're hostile.
Yeah.
Now there's so many other levels and dynamics to the relationship that you weren't expecting, because
That's
you
true.
just thought the RA would help dissolve the situation.
Yeah.
So what if it's not that simple?
I feel like this, like, and this is really, like, this would be a really annoying situation, because it's like, I'm not your parent. I don't even want to teach you, like, how to clean. Because I feel like some people might be like, oh, I would let the mess pile up, and they would see how messy it is and get uncomfortable and eventually clean it. But I feel like if you're a messy person, that doesn't bother you. At that point, like, if I'm cleaning up after you, I'm going to have to, like, I don't know, like, I think if it perpetuates, I don't know, there's going to have to be, like, some type of extreme step, whether it's, like, me moving out or you getting kicked out, because I will not, like, stand. If it's in our shared space, you can have your room be as messy as you want. Like, that is your own prerogative.
Right.
But if it's, like, our especially if it's a kitchen, like,
right.
a shared space, like, yeah, but
or
a kitchen,
bathroom.
But a kitchen is another thing.
The bathroom is like a nasty
yes,
place.
a kitchen and a bathroom, I feel like that's a line, because it brings in other things. It's unsafe. Like, again, someone can get sick.
Like, it could get moldy. Like, just so many things. And, like, I would just like to say there's no slander to the RAs out here. I know you're doing your best. And,
right.
Like, you're just working with the resources that you're given.
Like, are some of them?
Honestly, they're trained.
Some of them are.
They're trained and they can't do
Others are doing bare minimum.
I think. Yeah,
because the way that they're taught, I think, is basically like try to diffuse the situation.
It's because it is another student just going in between.
And it's like just try to diffuse the situation.
They're trying the best they can.
But when that doesn't work, it's just like, now
but
what's
I feel like this might be a really messy or like controversial thing to do, but it might be like if they're withholding themselves. I mean, if they're not trying their best to like uphold their end of like your agreement to like clean up after yourself or do some chore that's like necessary in keeping the space clean, the shared space clean, then you now have to start like, you know, I don't know, withholding something or doing something that that wasn't necessary, but you know, it's just a way of like mirroring what they're doing in a way. Like you don't
give
have
us an example.
I'm trying to give an example. I'm thinking like, you said it's already a hostile situation, right? So at this point, I'm thinking maybe you guys aren't even talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But if it hasn't gotten to a point where you're not talking to each other, I feel like maybe you have to like show it through your mannerisms. Stop talking to them, or
but then some people don't care about that. Some people are just like, okay, like
exactly.
I don't have to confront this situation because
you have
this
to
person's ignoring me.
I'm a revenge person.
But what if the person doesn't care?
And that's what
that?
makes it so annoying, because I feel like you have to now compromise like who you are. I mean, like it doesn't have to be as deep.
You're
as
changing
who you
your
are,
character,
but like your character just to like make a point across. Which is why at that point, like you would move out. I would move out, and that's even annoying because it's like I shouldn't have to be the one to leave.
The point.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
But either way, you're gonna have to change something.
Right. Something.
So I'm
something
like,
is
which
gonna
one
have
are
to
you
give.
willing to compromise more?
Yeah.
And it's so sad because there's so many stories like this out there where people are having horrible experiences and they take the right, paths to try to resolve it. And then it just blows up and they're forced to uproot themselves or act out of character.
Mm-hmm.
And then because they act out of character, because they were forced to, then they're painted as the monster.
Right.
And there's just so many things that go into this. And there's so many levels, there's so many steps. And it's like, it should never be this difficult. Like, it shouldn't. Like, I just...
The beginning of that sounded sort of like one of those ASPCA commercials. It's so sad. It's so sad. There are people everywhere who are dealing with this problem.
ASPCA?
Oh, it's like for those
like the
animals.
dogs.
Oh.
Yeah.
But okay.
10 cents a day. In the eyes.
Oh, yeah.
So the moral of the story is don't be selfish. Like, I understand that a lot of people grow up differently, but cleanliness is the bare minimum.
And that's the thing about the grow up differently part, because I feel like when you come to live with other people, which is what I was trying to say like earlier, is you're gonna have to learn how to like kind of compromise is so big, and there's gonna be like concessions made sometimes, but I feel like you're gonna have to learn how to have different perspectives and have different approaches, because people are different. People literally come from completely different upbringings and they're raised so different, so you cannot in some situations you cannot continue like doing things the way that you did it at home, because it's not the same type of space, you know what I mean? So you have to like establish different rules and different boundaries so that everyone is feeling like they're being respected, and so that the home can become like an actual melting pot of all the backgrounds, of all the cultures, of all of the X, Y, and Z. So
okay. My turn.
Yeah, so moving on to the next roommate scenario.
I don't even know what page it is on.
I'm so sorry, I closed it.
It's good.
There wasn't even anything.
There's nothing on there. Okay. So let's say that you have a roommate who, well, how do we want to start?
It's giving ASMR.
No, literally. I was like,
oh, sorry.
Continue.
So this is like a roommate horror story, but it's trigger warning. We're talking about blood and like period and really disgusting hygiene stuff. Well, you come into a bathroom one day and like you see your roommate's pad or tampon or something in the garbage, willy-nilly, like free out there in the world, unwrapped, unclean,
untucked,
and you're like, okay, well, it's in the right? Exactly. You're like, okay, it's in the trash can. It's gross. I can see it, but it's in the trash can. We just have a conversation about it. Maybe you live in a group of. Maybe you're in a group of, roommates, and you don't know exactly whose it is. So you broach the topic in the group chat. Hey, whoever left this pad or period or whatever thing, hygiene product. Can you please clean up after yourself? I'd like to just maintain this level of cleanliness in our shared space in our bathroom. And you're like, okay, they got the message. It's cleaned up, it's fixed.
Mm-hmm.
A month passes by. It's that time of month again. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, you go into the bathroom. And this time, it's not only unwrapped, but it's not in the trash can. Now, can you guess where it is?
Idaho.
Literally anywhere, because it's not acceptable. So, what do? At this point, you've told them once before.
I'm gonna put some gloves on, grab the pad, put it on their bed, write a note, and say,
I was like, where is this going? I was like, why'd you even just put the gloves on? The gloves on was crazy. I was like, oh, okay, but
I'm
now
gonna
it's
put
nice.
it on their bed, face down on their bed. I'm kidding. I'm playing
On their
guys.
mattress.
I'm playing.
On their pillow.
No, what I'm really gonna do is that's disgusting. I'm gonna take a picture. I feel no. You know what I'm gonna do? Depending on how frequent this was. So let's say like this is like 4 periods after. Like this happens for like 4 periods. And this
what's
like
your limit? What's your
it's
limit?
like their 5th period.
The 5th time is
I
when
feel
you're
like
stepping up.
My limit is the first time it happens, respectfully, because nobody wants to come into the bathroom and see your bloody, whatever you're using. And it's like, what if I had a guest? Like, what if I had, I don't know, a significant other come
so
over
embarrassed.
and they had to see your bloody, they had to see
This is temporary arrangement.
your menstrual item in the bathroom.
The Navy Leaks clip that's like the ghetto. Oh,
That's
ghetto.
No, that's really that's really disgusting. Like I say that my cap is like the 3rd. Let's say it happens the first time and I warn you and you do it the second time. I'm like, okay, a month passed, so maybe you have like you just forgot. After
but
that,
how do you forget that?
You shouldn't forget. First of all, I feel like you should have like just typical feminine sanitary products discipline, like to know that you should wrap up your products very well and put first of all, why would it not be in the trash can? Let's start there.
Okay, respectfully, I don't even know if it should go in the should it really be going in a shared bathroom trash can?
Yes.
And then also just the idea of it being out in the open.
That's like another step. We can talk about that
really,
once they even get it.
It's really okay. It's not even that it's just there. That's so unsanitary because there's so many diseases that are passed through blood. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if someone like you puts on some gloves and touches that, you're exposed. You feel me? And then if someone takes a shower and that steam is lifting off of that, and you're breathing that in, that's nasty. And it's like my limit is the first time because I'm gonna text the group chat and be like, hey, who did this? And if you don't own up to it and it's still there,
when is it public humiliation time?
I think it's public humiliation time after the 4th time. I'm gonna take a picture. I'm gonna send it in the group chat. And imagine, based on how the roommate situation is set up, because let's say you have 1 bathroom, but if not, you have 2 bathrooms, so now it's you and another roommate. If it wasn't you, it was them. So now it's like
they tried it tonight. It wasn't me.
That's going in the group chat.
I promise.
I'm gonna put your name out and everything. Actually, I don't want to think that I'm someone.
The government.
I don't want to think that I'm someone that would do that. I think that I'm gonna
be realistic.
I'm gonna pull you aside. I'm gonna be like, hey,
no, be real.
No, be realistic. Are you the type of person?
You said be real.
No.
Like the ad.
Be real.
No, I put it on Be Real. No, that's so bad.
Look at my roommate's
so bad. That is public humiliation OD.
No, but be realistic. What would you really be the type of person to go up to this person and be not go up. Would you really be the type of person to air this person out in the group chat with their full name and be like, it was so and so, I know it was you, better take the out.
No,
I would see it again.
I would pull them aside. I'd be like, hey, and this is after the first time where I'm really gentle, hey, I'll be really calm about it. The second time I'll be more direct, can you wrap up your sanitary products really well because I don't like to see your blood everywhere. 3rd time it's gonna be okay, this is really a problem and it's really gross. You're a grown woman, start acting like it. And then 4th time I might have to freaking make another group chat and I'm gonna be shady. I'm gonna make another group chat and I'm gonna talk about it because that's gross. And I don't want to even humiliate you to your face because I'm not that bold. But at least everybody else can know what I'm going through because that's really, really that's I feel like you're doing it on purpose. It doesn't take any extra bit of seconds to wrap it up and then if you want to go extra step, wrap it up in the tissue on top of that. That's gross. That's unsafe.
My thing is, what are you doing at home? Because if we have to tell you to do it, is your mommy going in the bathroom to wrap up your stuff for you? What is going on?
Right.
How are you taught?
And then maybe people don't have that home training because
some people
I know that some people's parents aren't actually hands on with that stuff. My mom personally taught me how to wrap that stuff up, But maybe some people's like parents, like, you know, it was just like when you got it, you kind of you just told them, and all they did was go as far as like buying it.
That
for
is
you.
true. And if that's you, I'm sorry, because that is some.
Which is why I'd be polite about it for like the first couple of times. But after that, it's like.
It's like, yeah, you have to understand how that's unsanitary, because as people who don't want to see other people's blood,
right.
We have to know to take care of things like that. And it's not only in a roommate setting, it's like wherever you go. If you're at work, you're not going to leave that for like, let's say you work at a corporate area, like, you're not going to wait on the freaking I guess, what do you call that? Like, the people that tidy up? You wouldn't do that. I mean, maybe you would, but the hope is that you wouldn't do that to them.
Right.
So why would you do that at home with people that are sharing a space with you? Like, you know, it's just decency, common decency.
Yeah.
That is so funny, because, like, my first reaction would just be to scream.
Really?
You go into the bathroom and you see, like, a dirty
jump scare.
It's literally jump scare. I'm like,
I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't, I don't know.
But, you know, I'm nice afterwards, but I think I'm a really reactive person. Even, you know this, too, because, like, bathroom, no, because, like, one time there was, like, something rotting in the fridge, and, like, you know, my first reaction was gag.
Interesting. It's like a totally different term. Let's say something was rotting in the fridge, and it was, like, your roommates. Would you trash it or, like, leave it?
You trash it. What are they going to do with that afterwards?
I don't know, because some people act like they had a plan for it or something. I don't know. Like, I think that it should be a rule that
they were gonna make a 3-course meal, and now it's gone.
I think it should be a rule that if something starts rotting, like, it's free reign to be able to trash.
Not gonna lie, I'm sorry, Grandma, but you do that. Like, my grandma, she'll have a cabbage in the fridge, right? And it'll have mold on it. I'll be like, Grandma, throw this out. No, it's still good. It's still good.
Cut off the mold.
No, literally. Okay.
It's so nasty.
The cut off the mold is valid because that's what I mean,
yeah, go ahead. We know.
No, listen. Sometimes it's really desperate, guys. If I have a whole onion, I have to make all my meals with onion, guys. Like, every meal needs onions.
So why is it rotting?
It's on a small part of the onion.
If you need to use it so badly,
if it's on a small part of the onion, let me just cut it off.
Small part of the onion, I'm never gonna see it then, right?
And people
because it's like, it's so small. On an onion, you really can't see, like, if it's rotting unless you touch it. And then once it's, like, really bad, once it becomes visible, you can see it all over the dang onion.
No, yeah, I mean, like, sometimes I've had onions where it's like a patch, and then, like, when I cut the onion, you can see a little bit through, like, maybe 3 or 4 layers, but I cut that out, and then I'm good. But then people are like, oh, no, once it has mold on it, mold spreads and whatever. And that's probably true, that's probably valid, but shoot, like, I'm budgeting.
So is that never mind. You already know what I was going to say.
I feel like I know what you're going to say.
I
don't know what you're going to say, but I feel like I know what you're going to say.
I know what you're going to say. I'd like you to say it.
You know. You
just say it out loud.
No, it's okay.
Let the viewers
I'm not
know.
trying to air out Lindsay.
I don't even know.
So is there another layer to your story?
Oh, okay. So obviously you guys have taken similar approaches to responding to this roommate.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's add another layer. Mm-hmm. It's not only period stuff and pads in the bathroom. This person is just a generally messy person. We're going back, like, to the beginning where like they don't wash dishes or whatever.
Yeah.
But instead now they just leave mess everywhere. Crumbs on the counter after they cook.
Yeah.
Like, they made meat, like, they prepared meat. They didn't clean the sink.
Oh,
you can see meat chucked
in
the sink.
No.
You can smell it.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Everything
I don't know
they
what I would
do,
but
they just are not
properly cleaning. You can't leave blood in the bathroom
anything.
and blood in the kitchen sink. Like, it has to give. It has to
Pick
give.
one.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding. Pick none.
Pick none.
And now at this point, it's like you're calling them out for everything. And it's like, you don't want to be the type of person who seems like they're nagging them, but what's your approach? Will you continue doing it, or?
As much as I don't want to be the type of person that continues to nag, I would rather be that person than be a person that continues to make a mess when I live with however many other people, because now that's a reflection of my character. That's a reflection of my standards. Like, I'm gonna keep on saying it. Like, I don't want to actually keep on saying it because nagging, like, I don't know, I feel like nagging can be really like ineffective to certain people at a certain age. But what do you do in that situation? Like, I can only clean up so much of your mess. I mean, this goes back to the first thing, like,
horrendous.
Like, I can only clean up so much of your mess. I'm not going to enable you. And if it keeps on going and, like, other, like, mediation doesn't help, then something's going to have to give. Either you're going to go or you're going to go, because I'm not going.
See, my concern would be...
How are you going to get them to go?
Well...
Make life healthier.
I'm going to bully them. Just
exactly.
I'm kidding!
Because I was like, this is what I'm thinking about. I'm like, you guys are like, oh, you have to find a new... What are you going to do? You're going to come up to them... You're gonna have to leave, kid. Like, no, they're not gonna leave.
That's
you gotta.
fair.
Do you make it hell for them before they go?
know.
And I don't know if that's like the person you want to be. Are you making that choice?
I'm honestly not even that person. Like,
Yeah.
this is all a big front, guys. I feel like as far as I go is like talking to you. I'm a punk. I'm just gonna like talk to you about it. After that, I'm probably just gonna clean your mess. I'm gonna clean your mess most of the time, and I'm gonna build a whole lot of resentment. And it's gonna leak out. You're gonna see me
Lindsay,
like
what's wrong?
nothing. Nothing. Just you. Just kidding. In my head, I'll say that. But literally, like, because I feel like leaving is so much work, and I'm actually very like, I don't want to do all that work to leave. So I'll probably just clean it up.
Which one is less work? So that you're going with the option of less work.
See, my issue is
probably.
My issue is like, you're living with this person, right? And, like, you're sharing a fridge with this person. You're sharing a cabinet space with this person. You know, people are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you heard of that girl that like, she was living with this other girl. And she was, like... and she was getting sick and she didn't know what was happening. And it turns out this girl was taking her tampons and rubbing it all over her food and stuff like that and giving it to her.
There's so many
and she was calling her, like, a Jamaican Barbie or something like that.
Oh, my God, I know this one. And then, like...
And she got really sick. I don't know if she...
And she would take, like, clam stuff and then, like, put it in her shampoos and, like, lotions.
Like, people are sick, okay? So it's like, once you get to that point where you keep nagging someone... Like, I would start to get nervous if this person would, like, retaliate in that way.
Oh, yeah, that's active.
They're actively, like
they're
trying to hurt you.
I'd be scared.
But then you don't know. I mean, people are left 24/7 with your stuff in the kitchen. And if you keep nagging them about certain things and they're like, well, choice words.
It's so bad, I'll make it worse for you.
Exactly. Like, you never know what, some of the nicest people that appear nice have dark,
That's true, but I feel like
you gotta be the person.
I feel like that's
but
also like
if you don't know that person's gonna do that, how do you know when
if I start
what I'm trying to say is that
it's hard though because
if you keep nagging this person, you don't know their limits. You know what I mean? So you never know, but it's like when do you like sort of chill off of it because you don't know.
That's why it's important to establish trust, because I don't want to have to now add in this layer of paranoia that like I can't even speak to you without feeling like you're going to threaten my existence.
But the thing is with that, like, we established trust in the beginning by like communicating what you guys are, like who you really are, and like,
boundaries and expectations. People
lie like crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like there are people
play face.
Yep, they really do. And I'm just gonna say, like, people are like, even in like roommate assignments or like, what kind of person would you like to live with? What kind of person are you?
Ready?
I'm like I'm semi clean, or I'm semi. I don't really like to make mess, and then lo and behold, you match with them and you live with them and you're like, this is not what I agreed to.
That's true.
And even once you were talking to them, you're like, I like to be called out on my stuff, and then as soon as they get called out, it's like a problem.
It's like,
so it's like people lie and people don't know themselves, which is very apparent after like living with them for so long. You're like, maybe you just don't understand what it means to be communicative and understanding what it means to live with other people.
I feel like in that case you just have to roll with the punches, because that's all valid, but I feel like there's some things that you can't, like, if you were to try to prepare yourself or anticipate everything, you would do nothing. And I think that's
true.
You have to just kind of do it and, like, roll with it as it goes. If some situations get to that point of extremity, then you just have to move accordingly, whether it means leaving or getting something else involved. There's some institutions that, like, you can get fined, like, as a roommate if you, like, of certain things.
Yeah.
Or... I feel like there's some situations where if you take it to like a higher up, the other person will get like penalized instead of you having to like leave. So, but if you were to like not do certain things or avoid certain things because you never know, or there's so many possibilities and there's so many outcomes, then that's not really a way to govern the world.
Leave, right?
Yeah, you just gotta kind of deal with it as it comes.
Good job. Everybody give Lindsay a round of applause because you've been able to like give a response to every single thing. It's not like a concise response,
no,
but like you tried your best to answer everything. You didn't have to.
Roommates are really. I think it can be tricky. It can really be tricky because of that whole establishing a family. Because like families are hard already. So it's like now you have to go and you're forced to be families with these strangers. It can go completely left.
That's what I'm saying because
not necessarily.
I feel like a lot of people don't go into it trying
not
to
necessarily a family, but
more like friends.
A level of respect,
just some friendliness.
Right,
I don't think even friends need to. You don't even.
I feel respect. I feel like a lot of people, especially when you're first going into university, people are looking for a friend in their roommate, and when that doesn't work out. Tension.
There is tension.
And then it's hard to maintain that trust. It's hard to trust or it's hard to have those conversations when you feel like someone that you tried to be cordial with is not, reciprocating that sort of energy.
And even to add off of that, I feel like those situations are like, I don't know, for lack of a better word, I would say unfair because you can't just kind of go into that roommate situation and have that expectation like we're going to be besties. Because
you just said you were expecting a family out of this, so like
no. Well, listen, okay. Well, that's
because you were going to answer it differently, right?
That's no.
It's the same.
Not
Lindsay.
Not that I'm actually. I don't think I expect a family. I think you want to create a family, and that is an extreme. I think that. You want to create it because it's like, these are going to be the people that you see consistently. In some situations, they're your 4-year roommates. So it's like you want to establish something. Like you're going to be living with them for 4 years. So it might get to a point where it becomes like a family. But I think I will change my word and revise and say, instead of family, like this like more than a baseline level of respect and comfort, I feel like. And that all kind of like creates this piece, which makes it feel more like a semblance to a family, but it's not really a family.
So in response to this, would you like a roommate that's like never home and you like never are able to build that?
I would love that.
I would.
No,
I wouldn't hate that per se. Okay. Like I mean, because like I think it's like for me, I'm an ambivert. I think like in some situations I lean more towards introvert. And I really enjoy my alone time. And so, like, I mean, if you're there, we get to build a relationship. If you're not, I won't be mad because it's like, I don't know what I'm missing out on. So it's like, I don't have anything to compare it to. But if you're there and we get to build one, then cool. If not, cool.
I'm paying full price to have a whole apartment.
Right. Like
you're
I would not
Dang.
be mad. Like I'll be inviting my friends over when I'm feeling extroverted and you won't be there, so I won't have to worry about you. Like it seems like a actually pretty good deal. Shoot, you can go.
And then when I want to see you, I see you.
I guess. I only see you like when I don't know.
No, it's okay. It's nice to have friends and your roommates though.
No, it is.
You're right.
Don't get the wrong idea, guys. I love like
you get the right idea. I don't like you guys.
I love being cool with my roommates.
I don't like roommates. No, I love my roommates. I've had good roommates.
Because then when you don't have friends, at least you have people that respect you at home. I wouldn't say friends always, but
you come home after being battered,
and it's like, oh well, at least you respect me.
Baseline.
Yeah, a little bit more than a baseline.
You said level. Hello.
A little bit more. That can mean something to a lot of people. I know
it does, though. That's nice.
That can.
I'm sorry. What are you saying?
Yeah. What's
you are quiet.
I was like originally answering something and I totally forgot what it was.
It's okay. We got to a different point and not the conclusion we were looking for, but it's the conclusion we have.
Hi guys. I feel like that was a very great conversation that it delved into. So we hope you enjoyed our yay or nay scenarios.
Yay!
Do you guys have anything else to add about college relationships? I mean, Of course, we're going to touch this subject again.
Yeah, I think that I really am excited to go into like more personalized stories and experiences in college, especially. I feel like our next segment should kind of touch on what it's like being us at the institution that we go to, PWI, but not just PWI, but just like where we're at with who we're with and like a combination of things. So we're definitely going to talk a lot more about our experience at college and all the different aspects of it.
I also think it would be cool to like bring some people that don't attend the university we do, and you know, having guests and kind of discussing how so that we can get a full spectrum of perspectives, because our experience at our university, I mean, I might as well say it because I have on the shirt. Yeah. But our experience at UVA might be different from an experience that someone has like at a different school in the West Coast, or like, you know. So maybe we'll bring some people. But we also want to hear if you have some horror roommate stories. It's not October, but we would like to be scared a little bit. I mean,
let's keep it tame.
Let's keep it tame.
I don't want any roommate pad stories.
I want to hear your stories. Like,
yes,
be
honest and be detailed, because we'll respond. We're gonna chew these people up.
We'll respond
on Tuesday, 11:00.
I know, 11:02 a.m.
I saw.
All right, guys. So this will be uploaded on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. This will also be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts, so make sure to rate our podcast and let us know your roommate stories, or just comment anything. We would love to hear from you. And so this is the 3rd episode of the 3 Intersections.
3 Intersections out.